Welcome, viewers. This is Samson. I'm reporting live from Abiodun Jago Ogba Center, and I have here with me Honorable Matthew. Mr. Matthew, how are you doing, sir?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
All right, quickly, sir. I would like to have your opinion on this very important question. As we know that there has been unrest in the southeastern part of Nigeria for a couple of months now. Now, my question is: will the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will you bring a final stop to the agitation for Biafran succession?
To answer your question directly, the release of Nnamdi Kanu will not bring an end to the agitation, but it will bring an end to unrest in the southeast. Because Nnamdi Kanu, the way it stands, is like the symbol of the struggle. That's why you see this a sustained struggle agitation for his release. But what I think can bring a sustainable peace in the region and perhaps a state of agitation is federal government constructively engaging the leaders of the agitators. And there is no meaningful engagement you can do with the Southeast when it comes to Biafra agitation. When Nnamdi Kanu is not there, that will be meaningful. So to be quite honest with you, if there is any strategy to end the agitation, is to have constructive engagement with the agitators as being led by Nnamdi Kanu.
All right. Do you think if the federal government engages the agitators without the agitators succumbing, laying down their arms and showing their readability to negotiate with the government, don't you think that would present the Nigeria as a weak entity?
The issue is not about being a weak entity. It's about addressing an age-long injustice that needs to be addressed. Because if you look at the foundation of the agitation, it has to do with the ethno-religious imbalances that gave rise to the civil war. Because if you listen to Nnamdi Kanu even before the arrest, you understand that he was always talking about injustice of the Nigerian state on the southeasterners. So for me, I think, because if you look at what the last administration of Muhammadu Buhari did, there was a time they tinker with the idea of paying retired police personnel who fought on the side of Biafra their entitlement. And I don't think they extended that to the military who fought on the side of Biafra. And we had a situation where Nigerian states used Nigerian military might to destroy the southeastern part of the country during that war, because the southeastern part of the country were the battlefield. And after the war, there was though the war was declared no victor, no vanquish, but we all know all the dynamics of how the war ended. And since that war ended to date, there are so many issues that have not been addressed. Particularly, if you look at in the northeast of the country currently, where we saw Boko Haram fighting Nigerian states, we already have a Northeast Development Commission to rebuild Northeast. So one would have expected that after that civil war, Nigerian state would have come up with such an idea to rebuild the Southeast to bring that lasting peace. Because one thing is clear, you can win a war through the battle of gun, but until you win the peace, you have not won anything. Because for me, I feel when they gave after the war, having seized all the resources, money of all the Igbo extraction, and when they started giving them £20, irrespective of whatever amount they had before, I felt it's an injustice. I thought there would have been a way to quantify the money that was seized as a way of giving them back what was taken away from them. So I think if they had addressed all these issues, it would bring lasting peace and bring down the agitation.
Okay, without exonerating anyone, you talked about injustice. Since 1999, do you think the eastern part of Nigeria have had a fair share in the federal polity of Nigeria?
What you call fair share is neither here nor there. Well, I will tell you that there are some critical areas of Nigeria that people who manage Nigeria will feel the Igbos are not competent to occupy. It's only under the leadership of Jonathan, who saw an Igbo man, Iyejirika, rising to the position of Chief of Army Staff. Apart from that time till now, I challenge any other person
What
to
about in the National
mention.
Assembly?
No, I'm talking about the security arrangement. There's never been any time an Igbo man or somebody from that region have been elevated to that position. And you see, if you must have a country where everybody say this is our country, you must carry everybody along. You mentioned the legislative arm of the government.
Yes.
There were times where the Igbos took turn to occupy the position of Senate presidency. There's no argument about that.
And quickly,
They have occupied.
during that time, what significant development was actually done in the eastern part?
Mr. Ani, there's one thing we must separate from this point. The political class in the southeast is different from the people who are agitating. There's a disconnect between the political class and the agitators. Because what is happening currently, even the Enugu State governor is saying no seat at home order.
For that response that you gave me, sir. So is it fair to say that everything going wrong in the eastern part of Nigeria is not totally the fault of the federal government?
No, the issue is the political class is always in tandem with the federal government, and that is where you see the disconnect, because the agitators are even accusing the political class that they are saboteurs, that they are sellouts, that they are collaborating with the federal government against the common man in the southeast. So the issue is we need to, that is why I personally advocate that we should rejig our current security architecture, because all crime is local. Whether you call it unknown gunmen, you call it IPOB, there's accusation, counter accusation. The point is somebody is being killed and crime is being committed, and it needs to be addressed. And unfortunately, Nigeria's sovereign state do not have monopoly of coercive power. That is where you see a state governor that go by the name of governor and the chief executive officer of the state will say, don't stay at home, come out. And a group will say, stay at home. And the group will have the potency of coercive power to enforce it. That's why you see people complying with it. For all I see, we're even recording even 100% compliance in some environments, because the government is not coming out to enforce law and order in the environment.
Well, with the emergence of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the seat of power, which is the topmost seat, the presidency, I feel he would be able to negotiate with the agitators and as much as possible integrate them back into the Nigerian system. Now, quickly, regarding Asiwaju, I would like to ask you, in a couple of months to come or years, what do you think are the chances of opposition parties? Do you think the opposition parties will still remain relevant? Because we know that with the antecedent of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he is a domineering politician who understands the power of negotiation, who understands the power of Yedeba and Yedeba.
What you mean by the power of negotiation? What you mean by what if you judge by his antecedent, like you just said? I will tell you that he's known as somebody that elevated Baba Sokpi, because what we used to have in Lagos is Baba has spoken and everybody falls in line. And if you look at his leadership style in Lagos, I don't think it has helped Lagosians so much. I believe that his style of leadership is the major reason he was rejected in Lagos in that last general election.
But his style of leadership has ensured and sustained continuity in governance.
This is what I'm trying to say in essence is, because you would have expected that a man who have risen through the ranks to that position as a political leader would have won his political base in that election. But that was not the case. He lost Lagos. The reason he lost Lagos was because
it is not constitutional. Neither is it mandatory for him to.
No, that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is I'm not saying you must win your base to be declared winner. What I'm trying to say in essence is his style of leadership is the major reason Lagosians rejected him. Because if you watch, take your time and do your whole community journalism, investigative journalism, try to interview people one-on-one, all these yellow bus drivers, market women, and all that, even private car owners. They will tell you that what they suffer in the hand of people who enforce informal tax collection is the major reason they rejected Tinubu in Lagos State. So if we are likely going to see that replicated at the national level, Nigeria is in for a bigger trouble. Now, I've seen Federal Inland Revenue Service making move, saying that they're going to synergize, collaborate with Market Traders Association to collect tax from traders. I'm not saying it's wrong for trader to pay tax, but the point is, at the time Nigerians are supposed to be Nigeria government is supposed to be looking for ways to ameliorate the standard of living of the average or even the poorest of the poor, as a reason as a result of suffering that came out of the removal of fuel subsidy. Should not be the same time Federal Revenue Service is tinkering with the idea of collecting tax from the traders. And we are looking at government policy of floating the naira. We are seeing inflation rising up to 22.7%, and we are seeing disco decision company wanting to increase electricity tariff, citing increase in inflation, and it's a reflection of the floating of the naira. So for me, I think the president, going judging by his antecedent, if he replicate his leadership style in Lagos State, Nigeria will generate more money, one, but Nigerians will pay through their nose.
Quickly, let me ask you this question. In Nigeria, which state since 1999 has enjoyed the best leadership style? And secondly, which state has enjoyed the most development?
What you call, there is no barometer to do a quick appraisal on that. But what I can watch, what I can say on the part, what I can say on the part of Lagos State,
I believe you can answer.
what I can say on the part of Lagos State is a state that is known to have what it takes to enforce its law. And another thing I have seen in Lagos is they have maintenance culture, which is lacking in some other states. But looking at holistic development, some person who can tell you that under the leadership of Dave Umahi in Ebonyi State, that he did quite well. Some person will tell you that, like what I can tell you categorically, as at the time I came to Lagos and what I witnessed, Ambode did excellently well. Fashola did well, but for me, if I want to do an appraisal, because
Were you in Lagos when Fashola ruled?
Partially. So, but the reason I give more credit to Ambode because he did just 4 years. Perhaps if you had the opportunity of doing 8 years, you would have done more. But looking at comparing states, the way you are looking at it may be difficult for me, except I go and do an empirical finding to actually know which state perform better in the area of infrastructure, but in the area of maintenance culture, I give it to Lagos State.
All right.
In the area of enforcing laws, I give it to Lagos State.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martin, for that. I guess on our next interview, you'll be able to provide me all the information that I need. All right, thank you very much, viewers. Watch out for our sports reviews coming up.